Welcome. My name is Douglas Grummins. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to continue reading from a book that I'm writing called Wheels. It is an in-depth discussion of the four levels of understanding, spiritual understanding, told through the use of a song that John Lennon wrote called Watching the Wheels. Before we get into the text today, I wanted to bring up again one of the reasons why I'm sharing all this work with you, and that is to bring you more consciousness, to bring you into a higher state of what I call super consciousness, where you go beyond the mind. The only way to go beyond the mind is meditation. Meditation and awareness and being a witness to your thoughts, sitting back and watching everything the mind is doing, every thought that comes in, and just observing, being there as a watcher. Once you become a watcher, then you'll realize that you are separate from the mind, that you can exist as a separate entity from your mind, from your thoughts. This consciousness that exists outside of your mind is the entry into the understanding of the superconsciousness. This superconsciousness is what connects you with the whole. It is your deeper understanding. It is beyond you. Once you experience this superconsciousness, then you start to be filled with bliss. This connection with the superconsciousness also is what brings you out of darkness. It unchains you from the unknown, because every day more of what is unknown becomes known through your superconsciousness. So this is what I want to share with you, that life is a journey from consciousness to superconsciousness. So now we get back into the reading. I'll pick up where we left off. While developing a new perception, beware of the pitfalls of the ego. Have compassion for those who are not ready to take flight. My friend Andrew posted a fitting quote on a social media site that says, "Ships are always safe in harbors, but that's not why they were built." Do you get it? My friend Andrew is close to enlightenment. Maybe by now he is. Anyway, back to the text. Since this section of the book is for those who wish to understand more, let me explain how to connect to God from a spiritualist point of view. From a spiritualist point of view, we could look at it like this. Electrons could have a minute amount of consciousness. If each electron in your body has its own consciousness, and you take away the mind, existence will still function. Its function exists in tune with the rest of existence's vibration. To feel this vibration, you would have to some way stop the thoughts in your mind. Think about this. Jellyfish have existed on this planet for 650 million years and without a brain. They just flow or respond to their surroundings as they occur. This is the essence of Taoism, just flowing and responding with the existence. This is entering the second level of understanding. The second level is connected with attaining, and this is done by going inside. But people don't know how to go inside or how to enter the inner world. For someone who has never gone inside, it all looks like an illusion. How could an inner world exist? The door to the inside world is meditation, but is only the door. To know what I mean by this, you would have to experience it for yourself. The approach to the inside world has to be a scientific approach. Until you experience the inner world, then it is only a theory. Its validity must be proven. Science only looks at the objective world and never at the subjective world. It would seem impossible to prove the subjective because it is a personal experience. It cannot be shared, but that's the beauty of it. While some people might consider meditation a dark art, this is far from the truth. The second level is where one gets his first glimpse of light. It is like going through a long dark tunnel. If you keep moving forward with total trust, you will one day see the light at the end. The reason some call meditation a dark art is because you will face an abyss of darkness before anything starts happening in your consciousness. This abyss of darkness is self-created. It is created because of your false identity, your ego. You do not know what your real self is yet. What you think of yourself is an illusion created by your mind, the input of others, and the perceptions you create. The best advice I can give is twofold. First, you have to face this abyss of the unknown with an amazing amount of courage, the type of courage where you would put your life in the line for. You will need the type of courage you would display if you were stepping in front of a bullet to save another's life. It is the same courage a surfer has when he is dropping into a very large wave, or it is the courage that a surfer has when he paddles persistently into the largest surf he has ever seen, all in the hopes of catching one beautiful wave. This courage is needed because it leads you to the death of your old self, the death of the ego. And secondly, you will have to be receptive while facing this abyss. No matter the outcome, you have to be open, even if it means facing death. The more open and receptive you are, the more you will receive. If you are only partially open, you will not receive much. It is always in proportion to your receptivity. If you face the abyss looking or waiting for something to happen, then you are being assertive and nothing will happen. At the end of the tunnel, there is a new life awaiting you. Then comes the third level of understanding, crystallization. In the third level of understanding, you have learned the trick to keep energy circulating within your physical and spiritual bodies. When enlightenment happens, it opens the doors for higher states of consciousness. It is up to you from that moment on to stay humble and keep as much energy circulating within yourself as possible. If you become arrogant, the energy escapes. The more energy you have, the more you will be able to understand. Awareness and practicing awareness uses up much more energy than when you don't practice awareness, if your mind is closed. Back to John's song. People asking questions, lost in confusion, while I tell them there's no problem, only solutions. For millions of people, spiritual awakening seems like a myth. To those people, the cycle seems to be working against them. What it boils down to is your conditioning. If you have picked up wrong ideas, you are looking in the wrong places. Everything you need to know is already inside of you. People ask, how do I become enlightened? There is no how, but the answer is in the line of this song. While I tell them there's no problem, only solutions. John is saying relax, be receptive to all good or bad, then you will know what he means by only solutions. John Lennon must have been in tune with the Tao when he was writing this song. Lao Tzu was the originator of what we call Taoism, sometimes pronounced Tao with a D, but I sometimes like to pronounce it Tao, so I might drop between the two, but he would have said exactly what John said. There is no problem, only solutions. The reason people keep asking questions, lost in confusion, is because they are trying to become something either powerful or famous. They may also be chasing after enlightenment, or they are trying to become Christ-like. It is the very effort of trying to become something that creates the confusion. You might ask, what should I do? I say, as many others have said, be yourself. Accept that heaven is right here on earth. Be total. Accept all the opposites, not as opposites, but as complementary to each other. Night and day work together. Love and hate work together. Good and bad work together. Sin and virtue work together. Even hard and soft work together in a perfect harmony. But they work together so that you will be able to gain wisdom and live in the wholeness of the Tao. This continuous cycle is not working against you. It is working for you. It will only be realized when you become total and start living from moment to moment, enjoying life as it comes to you. Once you live life in its totality, you'll be surprised these things you call problems were not problems at all. They were just the mysteries of life. The life of the lily is short. Lilies are here today and tomorrow they are gone. But they have no worries, they have no problems because they have flowered. They have served their purpose. Once you know your purpose and have lived it, then there will be no regrets. The flowering from consciousness to super consciousness comes in 4 levels, and those who have flowered have served their purpose. To the flower, this is heaven. There is no need for any other heaven. Jesus told people heaven is right here. You just can't see it. It's very insulting. After all, look around. All you see looks more like hell than heaven. It is said that Jesus never laughed. I find it hard to believe, but maybe this also brought about his downfall. His seriousness became a religion, or I should say his serious side became a religion. He was a carpenter's son, just like me. His way of interpreting the truth was based on his surroundings while growing up. Carpenters don't beat around the bush when they are trying to convey a thought. A carpenter likes to hit the nail dead center and drive the nail or thought in as quickly as possible. With this type of personality, it would be easy to mistake his seriousness with his personality. He had a sense of humor, but he was talking mostly to people with serious minds. Those serious minds are the ones who brought about his demise, and in doing so, they brought what is now one of the largest religions into existence. How do we know for sure exactly what Jesus' personality was really like? There are those who speculate that what you read in the Bible was hand selected by those with serious minds. Recently, a 1500-year-old Bible was discovered, written in ancient Aramaic, which was the language Jesus spoke. I have heard it paints a completely different picture than what the modern churches tells us. If it is true, the Bible says that Jesus was not crucified. It was Judas who was crucified, not Jesus. And moreover, Jesus was not the Son of God. He was just a prophet of God's. He was a man who loved to sing and dance and rejoice in this thing he called life. Now Lao Tzu had a deeper understanding. Even with his foolish wisdom, he stayed away from serious people. It's possible his foolish behavior was just a front. It could have been his way of keeping serious people at bar or at bay. Imagine a church full of laughing people. It looks insulting. Lao Tzu realized seriousness is a disease, so he created a religion where happiness and laughter were more important than wasting your time being serious. Yes, there are moments when seriousness is needed, but not towards the divine. When you approach the divine, you should be full of dance, full of poetry, love, and joy. Only then will you feel the presence of God. If you come to God heavy with sadness and seriousnesses, you will feel empty handed. In a way, you are coming to God with negative emotions. Negativity is the void of love, and God is pure love. Lao Tzu attained the fourth level of understanding. Maybe the crazy old man by the river was a story about Lao Tzu, off in the Himalayas enjoying the Tao. Maybe one day the story of the old man by the river will be your story. I have always enjoyed going on surf trips myself. I used to travel down to the Outer Banks of North Carolina. The Outer Banks are part bird sanctuary with the occasional small town every 30 miles or so. They are quite desolate in some areas, especially in the wintertime. Surfers have their choice of pristine spots with no one out to bother them except for the occasional fisherman. If you injured yourself out there back in the day, it would be many hours before you could get to the nearest hospital. You would easily die out there, really. Many times I made the trip down from Virginia Beach to find a secluded spot so I could surf by myself. There's just something about surfing by yourself in those dangerous conditions. When you are alone, you are basically naked, facing all your fears and putting all your focus on the upcoming waves. It is indeed a form of meditation, just sitting on your surfboard, not thinking, just focusing on the horizon. If the currents are heavy, it is best to find a marker. You can use something to mark your spot, like a log, or you could plant a stick in the sand and attach a towel to it to help you find your way back to your car. The sand dunes are sometimes 15 to 20 feet tall, and they all look alike. If you did not mark your spot, you could drift for miles. After a while, I became used to the spots, and drifting was no longer a problem. Except for one time, I'd taken my friend Tony down on a trip with me. He was not used to the Outer Banks as I was, and we parked in a lot where there was a concrete rest area. We walked over the dunes, and were wowed by beautiful stomach-high barrels. It was midsummer and very hot, and the temperature was over 100 degrees, and the mosquitoes were thick. Nonetheless, we surfed for hours upon hours, getting shacked in what we called the 7-Up bottle because of the vibrant green color of the water. We lost sight of our entry point from the dunes, and the currents were very strong that day. We were completely surfed out, and we could not paddle into another wave. My instinct told me to check over the dunes and see how far we drifted, but Tony was confident that we must have drifted for a couple miles. We started walking in the opposite direction of the current, hopefully back towards my truck. We walked along the shore, keeping our feet in the shallow water at the ocean's edge. After about a mile, we noticed people sunbathing in the dry sand. I had been looking down at my feet as we passed them, and Tony tapped me on the arm and hinted to look over at the sunbathers. They were all naked. This was not a good naked either. We looked at each other, laughed it off, and kept walking. We walked about another half a mile before we climbed up the dunes, only to see that we had walked 3 miles in the wrong direction. By this point, we were totally dehydrated, and decided to take a shortcut to the road through the marsh. The marsh was loaded with mosquitoes, and we were bitten by hundreds of them. The plan was to hitchhike back to my truck. We put our thumbs out, but after several cars passed, we realized no one would stop to pick us up. We just kept walking and came upon two other surfers. They said they saw us walking on the beach and wondered what we were doing. If they had not given me a lift, I think we would have been in a lot of trouble. When you've been surfing for many hours and in 100-degree temps, you get a little loopy. Your decision-making process can be distorted. Those of us surfers who brave the elements and enjoy moments of aloneness are living in the Tao. Your soul will be transformed when you can totally accept all the dangers and are never afraid to share a moment of solitude with existence. This is what Lao Tzu means by foolish wisdom. Lao Tzu lived with total acceptance of nature and made no distinction of good and evil. Taoism is more like a wild ocean or a dangerous forest. Buddhism is more for the cultivated mind. And if Lao Tzu was an ice cream, he would be Rocky Road. Buddha would be chocolate and Jesus would be vanilla because they are for the masses. Lao Tzu is very unique. Very few people can follow him. The people who follow Lao Tzu are not simply followers. They are the people who paved their own trails. Watching the wheels was John's proclamation that he wished to just live in the Tao. Whether or not he was conscious of the existence of Taoism or not was not the point. Well, folks, I think we should end it up with that thought. Thank you again for joining me. My name is Douglas Grummins. Please look for my other works. My first book was called 10,000 Waves. It was a journey of my surfing years. And my second book is called Songs of the Buddhas. And both of these books can be found on Amazon, I believe. So anyway, thank you again. Thank you for joining me. Look forward to doing this again sometime. Thank you.